Hey guys, so I'm going to start off my movie review today a little bit different to what I normally do, and I'll tell you why. So the reason why I want to start off this movie review like this is because I'm a very strong believer in, and like when I was watching this movie, it kept coming over my mind. I kept thinking about this specific thing that kept flowing over me. Now, I personally haven't watched this movie in a very long time, and not for any negative reason. There's just been a slew of new movies that have come out. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of not forgotten about, obviously, but just it hasn't been on the forefront of my attention, and that is rewatchability. Now, for me, a massive part of movies is the rewatchability factor. Now, if you really think about how epic and extreme and moving and emotional and just the elements that make up a brilliant masterpiece of a movie, one of the things that is behind that mentality is the rewatchability of the movie. How many times can you watch this movie in hypothetical, a year, 10 years, 20 years, and not get sick of it? Now, this movie that I'm about to talk about today, guys, or whatever time in the world you're watching it, is that element 101, literally. The rewatchability, personally, for this movie is the core essential for what I would say is what Hollywood is about, in my personal opinion. And I don't say that lightly, guys. I really don't. I need you to understand that. What I'm talking about right now is the incredible 2001 brilliant action thriller. Wow. Just fun, movie, Swordfish. Man alive. So tonight I was like chilling out, and I was just going through my Blu-rays and having a look at what I own, and just randomly looking through stuff, and I came across Swordfish, and I thought to myself, far out. I literally have not watched this movie in ages, and I am definitely going to watch it tonight. Now, one of the things about movies, and I talk about this a lot, especially in cinema, but when it comes to me being at home in the comfort of my own home and watching a movie, if a movie is as good as this, right, as good as this, in my personal opinion, as Swordfish, I don't like distractions. It doesn't annoy me, but I really like to see, and I've seen this movie so many times, it's not funny, guys, but a movie of this caliber, a movie of this level, in my opinion, has so much just wowness to it, I'm going to call it, that when I watch it in the privacy of my own home, I really don't like distractions. And to the point where I've been in situations where my wife has called me, or someone important from work, and I'd be watching a film of this level, and I don't even want to answer my phone because I just don't want distractions, and this movie really is, in my opinion, one of those high-leveled movies that I just don't want to be distracted. Like, one of the movies and I'm going to redo my movie review on this, I'm going to do it tomorrow, is Man of Steel. Because to me, the level of just brilliance put into that movie, for me, my personal opinion, is just that. But I'm going to talk about Swordfish. So Swordfish has Hugh Jackman in it, who, if you don't know who Jackman is, you've been living under a rock. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but everyone knows who Hugh Jackman is. It has the incredibly brilliant John Travolta. It has the stunning and the wonderful, incredibly acted Halle Berry, and also the brilliant, just awesome Don Cheadle. Far out. So this movie is rated M. It goes for an hour and 39 minutes. An action crime thriller. Oh my gosh. Now, this movie, if you saw this movie, if you were born, I kept thinking about this as I was watching this movie. If you were born 2000, I'll say 2002 and after, there's a really high possibility that you have never heard of this movie, and there's a reason for that. In the trivia of this movie, and I didn't even know about this, guys, until I read up the trivia on this movie. In the trivia of this movie, it actually states, and this is why it didn't release very long in cinema, this movie has a sequence in this movie of a building explosion. And I'm not going to give any away because I don't like spoilers. I don't like giving out spoilers because you've got to go and see it for yourself. But it has a building simulated explosion sequence in this film. Now, due to 9/11, the filmmakers thought it was disrespectful to keep the run of this film, so they actually pulled it from the cinemas, and it was I think they said it was Warner Brothers' choice to do that out of respect of 9/11. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I read up. You know, you don't know what's what and who's who these days. Anyway, one of the things I really want to talk about in this movie review, guys, I'll say this movie is so good. As I said in the start of this movie review, guys, the rewatchability of this movie. The rewatchability. For me, a movie needs rewatchability. It needs rewatchability. I'm just going to rattle off 5 movies that, in my personal opinion, are the highest rewatchability movies for me. Man of Steel, Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, The Dark Knight, and Speed. They are the top 5 rewatchabilities. I'm going to add another one to this because it has to be said, Swordfish. It really is one of those movies. Now, the opening sequence, I won't say the opening scene, I know it is the opening scene, but I'm going to call it an opening sequence because it is, but it isn't the opening scene to the movie. It's the opening sequence of the movie. It's what leads on to the opening, and that is literally, I remember when I was a kid in the cinemas watching this film, guys, I remember seeing the opening sequence and just thinking to and I don't want to give it away, I'm not promise you I'm not going to spoil this, but I remember thinking, how in the world did they pull that off? Because that has me completely hooked, line and sinker. Oh my gosh, guys, I was sold. I never use this word because I don't like using this word, but I'm going to use this word because it really does paint a perfect picture. I was entranced. You could flick your fingers in front of my eyes, you could wave your hands, and I guarantee you, as I said, guys, I was almost tempted to not answer my phone when I was watching this film this afternoon. That's how good this film is, in my opinion. And the opening sequence of this movie is mind-blowing. Now, I got to give a reference to The Matrix, because if you've seen The Matrix, they use an extremely similar camera technique in this movie to The Matrix, and I believe they got the, what would you call it, cinema epicness, the idea from The Matrix. And when you see the opening sequence, you'll actually realize why. Now, if you've seen The Emperor's New Groove movie review, I actually talk about the fact that there's a joke in the movie. I know this, you're like, what are you talking about, Emperor's New Groove? How's that have to do with this movie? Bear with me. There's a joke in the movie that, in my personal opinion, that movie was so funny. In The Emperor's New Groove, they actually used the joke twice, and it's about the lever. Okay, I won't give it away. I don't want to spoil it for you. Go and watch The Emperor's New Groove because that's hilarious, so funny. But they actually used a joke twice. Now, this movie, there's a sequence at the start of the film that they reuse in the movie. And when you see the movie, guys, you will completely understand why they had to use it twice. I promise you. I 100% guarantee you, you'll totally understand why. It really is that good. Now, if you're obviously remember the Matrix movie, you'll remember when, if you haven't seen the Matrix movie, go and watch that movie and then come back and we'll talk. So there's a sequence in the Matrix movie where Neo goes backwards, and they use a camera sequence like that, and they literally, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they use a bunch of cameras that literally go like that. And they literally just like they literally film it one after the other, and that's how they got that epic like sequence in the Matrix that no man in history will ever forget, because that stood the test of time in cinematography at its time. They use an extremely similar camera effect in this movie, guys, that is so incredibly mind-blowing. I mean, so good that they used slight CGI techniques that I was reading in the trivia about this movie, guys, that the actual director slash cinematographers didn't know which one was the real footage or which one was the secret CGI created images for the explosion. That is how on point they got this. Like, you need to understand that is ridiculously impressive. I mean, seriously. Which actually takes me back again. I'm going to give another reference, because this is something I read in the trivia for Finding. I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was Finding Dory, not Finding Nemo, but Finding Dory. I know you're like, what are you talking about Finding Dory now for? What is this movie review? Just bear with me, and I'll tell you. In Finding Dory, they actually used a above water sequence. So the ocean, it was in view, and it was like the camera was bobbing like that, and they made the image so real that they gave it to the director, and they said, which one do you think is real and which one do you think is fake? And he had absolutely no idea. And he said, okay, which one's the fake one? Which one's the CGI? Like, which one's the one we're using for the movie? They showed him, and he said, okay, I need you to dial it back a bit, because that's a little bit too real, and that's not how realistic they want to use. Because it would have made the rest of the movie looked weird. Like, for example, the new Lion King. Jon Favreau wanted to literally make that movie as real, photo real as he possibly could, and man, did he smash the photo real out of the water in that film. Something of the trivia that I found really actually quite sad about this movie, guys, is Vinnie Jones was actually about to do a stunt, and it was a really extreme stunt. And just as he was about to do it, John Travolta said, stop, at the top of his lungs. John Travolta yelled, stop, don't do it. So the stunt guy did the stunt, and this is ridiculous. So the stunt guy did it, a wire broke, and he fell 60 to 70 feet into a concrete floor and broke his back. Man, when I read that, guys, that sucks. That just sucks. I kind of wish I didn't read that. I'm sorry I've had to tell you guys that, but I just wanted to share that with you, because sometimes you need to understand that Hollywood stunt guys, they do extreme things, and in the consequences, unfortunately, people get really badly hurt, especially in movies this big. A bit of interesting fact that is actually spoken, the lines by John Travolta, that is actually not true. Thomas Jefferson did not shoot a man on the front lawn of the White House. That rumor was actually created from this movie, Swordfish. So if you've ever gone in conversation before in your life and gone, yeah, I remember talking about that one time, it's not true. It's false. Blame John Travolta. You're welcome. So as you know, if you've seen this movie, Halle Berry reveals something in this movie that is very revealing. And she was extremely nervous in doing it. And she said that in order to do it, she was going to be paid $500,000 to do it because she wanted to overcome her fear of nudity in film. And this fee that she charged the production company was literally the starting fee for the rest of the movie. So it was like that plus whatever else she wants on top of that. And as if you wouldn't, like, it's your body, you know what I mean? But anyway, it's kind of sad if you think about it, but hey, welcome to Hollywood. I'm glad I'm not in it. So as I spoke about the starting sequence in the start of this movie, guys, they actually used 135 synchronized cameras to capture that shot. And I'm not going to tell you what happens. You got to see it for yourself, but I promise you, if you love explosion acting scenes like some people in this room, oh yeah, me, you will absolutely love Swordfish. I just, as I was thinking about that, guys, I actually just thought about this scene in this movie that when I was in school, I actually filmed a sequence really similar to this, and years later I found out that the physical stunt role that I did was completely and totally 100% unnecessary because she didn't actually, I don't believe she actually got the footage. I think she actually wanted me to fall to make it look like a fall. Anyway, long story short, the chase scene between Don Cheadle and Hugh Jackman in this movie, I actually, rewatching it, I think it is actually one of the most basic fall scenes in movies, but the way it's executed is absolutely brilliant. I love watching that scene. And one of the things that really, really sells it for me in that scene is the fact that throughout the entire scene, when they land on the beach, I'm not giving it away, I won't give it away, is the entire scene of that scene shot, all four actors are constantly out of breath. And I really loved and valued that part of this movie because of the fact that when a character is out of breath and then all of a sudden they do camera angles and they shoot and all of a sudden he's no longer out of breath, you can obviously tell, oh, okay, you obviously filmed that, hours later into the movie. But this, every scene, every shot that's taken, they're genuinely out of breath, and I really appreciated that. Guys, this is one of those movies where John Travolta absolutely steals the movie. I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of the most fun characters that he has ever played in his entire career. And I know that is a big call, because there's so many movies that John Travolta has been in that he is just epically brilliant. But honestly, in my opinion, guys, this is one of those movies that is so high caliber for John Travolta that his character in this movie, oh my gosh. I just remember thinking to myself now, and I don't like using this word because it kind of paints a picture of someone else, but I'm going to use this word to describe John Travolta. He's almost like pure gangster. And not in the sense of like New York gangster or back in the 60s gangster. I mean like gangster as in like he'll do anything to get his own way. And oh man alive, does he... Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's just... Woo! Oh man, this movie is amazing, guys. This movie is so good. If you haven't seen Swordfish, why are you watching this movie review and go and watch it? Kidding. Completely watch this movie review to the end because you're amazing and I appreciate your time. This is a really random one, guys, that I just thought I'd share with you. And the more I thought about this, and after I watched the movie, I was like, really? That's like seriously excessive. Like, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So apparently they imported 6 TVRs for Gabriel's car scene. 6? That's a really excessive. I don't know. I could be overthinking that. I probably am. But I don't know why you'd import so many for that. When you see it, you'll understand. Maybe it's just plays in different parts of the movie. They just wanted to make it look different on different angles. I don't know. So one of the other things that I found really, really incredible, that a stunt guy in this movie, another stunt guy, he wasn't hurt, but a stunt guy brought to the director's attention, is in the bus scene. I'm not giving anything away, but in the bus scene, all I'll say is a cable snaps, okay? In the bus scene, a cable snaps. You're like, what? Cables don't have buses. Just watch it and you'll know what I'm talking about. In the bus scene, a cable snaps, and when the cable snaps, they used, all these techniques, and it cost a bunch of money. And one of the stunt guys actually said to the director / producers of the film that they could have done that in a completely different way and cost literally half the money. Imagine being... Oh man, I reckon you think we got fired for that comment. Like, who the heck do you think you are? We want this to be amazing. Shut up. Go back to work. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this movie review up. I honestly can't tell you how much I appreciate you watching this. I really, really cannot express it enough how much you need to watch Swordfish if you haven't yet watched Swordfish, because this movie is it really is next level on every level imaginable. Far out, this is an amazing movie. Thank you so much. Thank you for all my subscribers. I really, really value every single one of you so much. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd love you to. If you don't, it's all good. Please leave a like if you like this movie review. Please click the bell so you get all my anything that I drop, you'll get it straight away. And until my next review, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys.